Welcome to the February 20th meeting of the Kingston Planning Board. We have an agenda tonight. There are no public hearings. We're going to be talking about stormwater management and legal notices and any other business that may legally come before the board. There is no correspondence tonight, and there are no minutes to approve because we didn't have a meeting last month and this week. So the first order of the agenda is Article 908, Stormwater Management. We have the board decided, had a study done to revise the stormwater regulations as proposed for the RPC. RPC prepared the regulations for us through a grant, and we essentially, they went through them all. We have studied them. We have a report from our engineer who has also studied them, and we are ready for final discussion and adoption of the stormwater management regulation. So, any discussion?
When we last looked at this back in October, you were given you were given a copy of the regs that still had the strike-throughs of the things that were being taken out, and the things that were being added were in green text. And Dennis and I actually went through them page by page, and we added 10 edits, half of which were completely editorial. We changed some numbers because the numbering wasn't right, and we added an S on the end of a line, and so seriously just sort of editorial text changes. And then 3 of them were really substantive, and we went over them back in October, but I can reiterate them. They were reaffirming that the threshold for developments that would be subject to these is 15,000 square feet. That's in the regs. That does comply with the federal requirements. In another area, we indicated that annual reports would be submitted to the planning board. It just said they'd be submitted to the town previously, and Dennis and I wanted them to have a location to be sent to. So we changed it to say the planning board. And the third substantive one was, it doesn't seem so substantive that I can remember it. It was setting the threshold for when some activity doesn't change the impervious surface, but might indeed increase the building on the site. So we changed the language to say that if that increased building takes up more than 25% of the existing paved area, that they'd have to submit a stormwater report, because that would mean that they could be generating more stormwater or having it impact differently than just the pavement that was there before. And it would require that information be provided to the town engineer. And other than that, there are no changes, and these do reflect what the federal law requires.
So in essence, what we're looking at is regulations that are no stricter nor more lenient than what we had before, and do now comply with federal regulation. And
the RPCs provided us templates for inspection reports.
Correct.
Now, whether we use those exactly or if we amend them, we haven't done that yet, but we do have those templates. And that would take additional interaction with the board to finalize those.
Glenn, when you talked about the threshold for enforcement at 15,000 square feet, that was the part that used to say if capital cost of improvements is greater than 30% of the property value?
That's actually the one I was talking
They're
about.
Just talking about now, yeah.
The 25% more building on the existing pavement.
Okay.
Becomes a threshold for.
Because I had written down that we were changing it to a square footage trigger.
Correct.
Yeah, and
Correct.
Because that's what
we
makes
didn't
sense.
Feel comfortable with it being
it shouldn't be
a monetary figure.
Yeah.
Because
that's not the goal of the
people would
ordinance.
never meet that threshold independently. They would always say that they fell underneath it, and how would we really know to challenge them on it? It was really uncomfortable. It was really uncomfortable. So that's why we decided to go with the land-based threshold. And there's Phil, who I'm thinking only came for this discussion. At my request, yes. I didn't want you to not be aware that we were doing it.
Did you want to participate and offer anything? Okay. So basically, Phil, what we talked about.
Phil, you probably need a mic, or you need your mic on. That was it, you need your mic on, okay.
So, with my mic on, Phil, what we basically just said, we went over the three substantive changes we've made, and basically there's going to be reporting now. The reports go to the planning board, and other than that, this is no stricter, no more lenient than what we've had before. Okay. Any other comments from anybody? You have a motion?
I'll move we adopt the Article 908 Stormwater Management as presented in the handout that has been
Right,
amended
it says
tonight.
February draft at the top.
Okay. Yeah, February 2024. Yeah, and with the one change of it, where it says adopted December 15th, 2009.
Yeah, that's how it reads presently. 'Cause that's
Presently,
what- that's how it
and we
reads in
can
the book.
put an amended.
Now it will have an amendment date,
Okay.
yes.
So with the addition of the amended date on there.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. That passes unanimously. Now that our full complement of people are here that are going to be here this evening, I'd like to introduce people. To my left is Rob Turslow, who's a member, Peter Coffin, who is a member, I'm Lynn Merrill, I am the chair, Peter Bakey is a member, Robin Duguay is a vice chair, and Glenn Greenwood is our planner. And we now have one member of the public, who is also our town official, Phil Coombs. Okay, that takes care of item number one. Item number two are legal notices, and basically, state law requires that legal notices be posted. Carriage Town News is no longer in business, and they have substituted in the Manchester Union Leader.
However, the big difference here, and I think what she was getting at in there, is that unlike the ZBA, which is up this year for a law change, the planning board does not have to post in a paper. And there are, under RSA 92, the Right to Know Act, and the 675, we are able to post notices on the town's website, and it should be prominent on the website, the homepage, and with a link to maybe to our page and or our link. So I think what we need to do is, if we're going to change our procedures, because what it says is that posting in accordance with, the 675 says it's posting in accordance with the town's subdivision regulations. Yeah, site plan regulations. And so in there, and which we can't change really until next year, but the subdivision we can change any time. So we need to change those and our rules and procedures, which is where else it says, we have it written in there that the posting in two public places and in a newspaper of general circulation, preference to be given to a freely distributed paper which goes to all households in Kingston. An allusion to Carriage Town News, which of course, as we know, is non-existent. So the question is whether the board wants to continue at the applicant's expenses, publishing notices in the Manchester Union Leader, or going to the website as our primary publication source, plus two other places. And I would recommend the website, and that will reach, and we do it anyway.
Correct.
And so, and we could then change our fee structure to eliminate the advertising fee. The other things that takes an awful lot of load off of Robin to try to hit their advertising deadlines and the 10-day requirement, all that stuff.
And Robin did investigate the costs, and the Union Leader was approximately half the cost of either the Seacoast newspapers or the Eagle Tribune. So we could, so what we'd be looking for is discussion and a motion to change our rules and regulations to reflect just being on the website, or being on the website and the union leader, the rules and regs, and they would be in our ordinance. So,
The changes to our regs will require a public hearing.
okay,
Because although we're fairly vague, in the subdivision regulations, it actually says posting in a paper if necessary, but we should remove that entirely. So both in site plan and subdivision, we should hold a hearing
okay.
to do this, but we wanted to make sure the board was comfortable with that before we did that hearing.
So why don't we do that for our next hearing night? There's also a regulation that says if a zoning change is going to affect less than or more than a certain number of people, if it's less than a certain number of people, then all those people do have to be notified. Just because that way you're stopping the spot zoning without people knowing about it.
Yeah, and this is from 675.7. It says, if a proposed amendment for a zoning ordinance would change a boundary, and by the way, there's different rules also for requirements for noticing for zoning amendments and creating zoning laws, and that's where most of this information is about the specifics of where it has to be on the town's website and things. But if the proposed amendment would change a boundary of a zoning district and the change would affect 100 or fewer properties, notice of a public hearing on the amendment shall be sent by first-class mail to the owners of each affected property. I remember Ellen talking about this quite often. We wanted to make sure that if we had made a change, that would be more than 100.
We've actually had to do it a couple times in the last 15 years,
Yeah.
but only a couple times.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only time there'd be a change. Yes. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll have a public hearing on this at our next public hearing night, which would be March 16th, maybe? Sounds right.
Yeah. No, because we were 14th, so I got to look at the calendar.
March 19th.
19th.
Do we need a motion to take this to public hearing?
All right, I'll move that we take the proposed changes to the site plan and subdivision ordinances, regulations, thank you, that's the word, to a public hearing on March 19th,
Yep.
6:45 here at Town Hall. And do we need to mention what the changes are going to be?
No.
Okay. Because we're going to discuss them, aren't we? Yeah. That's the purpose of the hearing.
We'll do a legal notice that says exactly what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a second from Robin. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous, Robin. Okay. Any other business that may legally come before the board?
We do have a couple of recommended changes. And I think the bonding was one of the ones that went into effect this past year.
Thanks, Phil.
And did you want to take a look at that and see if we needed to change our that was another thing for subdivision regulations, and in which case, should we post that at the same time?
When I looked at it the first time, I didn't think that there needed to be a change to our bonding statements. But I'll look at it again and make sure.
But, well, actually, Phil just left, but the one reference I thought might apply is that you can't require a developer to halt or stop or delay construction on a road until it was bonded. They can go ahead and start the road construction before actually posting the bond. And that, I think, was the significant difference.
No, that is a change for us. That would be a change for us.
Yeah, and I think what I'd suggest is under the NHMA guidelines for, I think that was for 2023, legal changes.
Yep, I think I have that memo from them.
Yeah, and it's on their website anyway still.
Yep, I'll look at it.
But I think that might be something else that I would move that we.
If it requires it, we'll have it for the March 19th meeting as
Right,
well.
put it on the posting, so that
Yeah.
would be good. Yeah, we've already moved to have a hearing on the changing that.
No,
Did,
there's a boundary line adjustment, and there's, the tower's back. And there's,
did Robin say something about one that was based on a expiring
there's Hawks Ridge.
Fox Ridge, which we thought had gone away?
Based on expiring.
Hawks Ridge building
got-
on the area that the ZBA granted the variance for. So it wouldn't be in between those two structures like he proposed in December. It will now be up where the old clubhouse used to be, was proposed for. Where the
Well, not
clubhouse,
old
where the
where
clubhouse for Hawks Ridge would
It
be.
was originally proposed as the clubhouse, then on the plans they submitted to the ZBA, it had changed to commercial
house
building.
site.
Well, no, commercial building.
Oh,
Actually, the plans they brought in the last time they were here, and then went to the ZBA, said commercial building, and they eliminated the proposal for a clubhouse. But those plans were the plans that the variance was based on. So that they can't.
they should follow those plans.
They should be, we should dig out those plans and compare and make sure that there's no discrepancies, because.
I'll do that as well. That is important.
And the other thing we ought to double check is, since this is being hooked into the septic system, the condominium association, I believe, is now the owner of.
Well, the condominium association, the owner of that property, because that was clubhouse property. That was supposed to be their clubhouse.
Yeah,
So how can
but
that
it's listed
somehow-
as.
They're apparently not interested in having it be the clubhouse.
Correct.
But
How do you take land that was their clubhouse without their permission of the
Well,
association to turn it
Oh,
into?
he's working diligently with them, but where harebrained scheme,
Well, yeah.
because that was harebrained.
Well, you can't very well put a house where you've now put all of your drainage.
No.
Yeah.
And so the association was dead against that.
Yeah.
They apparently aren't dead against this. They apparently are working together on this, which surprised the heck out of me, but
I mean, one more house to the association is one thing, but certainly making a commercial use out of a site that was.
right, is completely different.
Was supposed to be a clubhouse for the 34 units that are there.
Yeah, completely different.
But the
I would say
variance
that
was
these days
for a certain number of feet outside the residential district. So in other words, the
Right,
residential district
it's
starts at
within that
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet from 125.
Correct. They couldn't have a house more
Yeah.
than 1,000 feet from 125.
Right, or less than, and that was what the variance was, they got that, and it shows it as a pretty minor amount of incursion in that.
I'll check the ZBA plans.
Yeah, check those, and that was, Ellie wrote the notice of decision, so I don't know what that said, but it should reference the plans. And that was Charlie Zilch's plans, and I believe it's not Charlie anymore on this project. We're back to,
They've changed engineers? I mean, firms, engineering firms?
yeah, isn't it, I thought Robin mentioned, what's his name?
Not Lavelle.
LaBelle, yeah.
They've
Lavelle?
gone to Lavelle?
That's odd.
Maybe not.
She may have gotten it wrong, but
Maybe not.
I think the last meeting Charlie might have been done with it.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other business that may come legally before the board? Seeing none, motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye, that was Robin and Peter.